hearing reports of a shooting at an ICE facility in Dallas. We happen to have with us the acting director of ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Todd Lyons.
Okay, quick disclaimer, as I make this video, we do not have all of the information that occurred at the Dallas ICE facility. What we do know, straight from Kristi Noem herself, there was a shooting this morning at the Dallas ICE government field office. Details are still emerging, but we can confirm there were multiple injuries and fatalities. The shooter is deceased by a self-inflicted gunshot wound, so he took himself out. While we don't know the motive yet, we know that our ICE law enforcement is facing an unprecedented violence against them. It must stop. Please pray for the victims and their families. So that is straight from Kristi Noem. And real quick, before we start the video, make sure you guys are please liking the video. It helps out the channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well. And as I make this video, I think half of America is still asleep. So make sure to please like the video so people can see what's going on.
Lawrence, and that's why I mentioned that Sally port. So apparently it occurred when detainees were being brought into the Sally port. This we're not sure exactly where he was located, but was able to shoot into that Sally port and struck at least 3 people. That now is down from this self-inflicted wound. So
now again, we have seen before where ICE officers have been targeted by groups or from protesters. However, in this case, it looks like 3 detainees have been taken out by the sniper. Now, we can't confirm if he did it on purpose, was it misidentification, but what we do know right now, as I make this video, 3 detainees have lost their lives.
Talking to you anyway, obviously this event has sort of subsumed what we were going to discuss. What can you tell us about this incident in Dallas?
Yeah, literally as I was coming here, we were notified that there were shots fired at our Dallas field office. Right now, preliminary information is a possible sniper. We have 3 individuals that are down at this time. We're not sure on their condition. They've been taken to the hospital.
And now we do know those were detainees. Again, we've never seen anything like this. The assumption was the sniper was going after the federal agents, but the detainees, they were the ones who were taken out. Again, we don't know why, and we do know it was a sniper who took themselves out.
Hospital. We're hearing some reports that the shooter may be down from the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Again, the shooter is down.
The scene's secure. You know, obviously right now, my hearts and prayers are going out to my officers and agents. That's my biggest concern, and as well as everyone in that area. But this just shows the violence that's being increased against ICE officers and agents. This is the second time now we've had a shooting at one of our facilities in the Dallas area, and really, it's just a sad time that we have to worry about violence against law enforcement.
So you're hearing, the reports you're hearing at this point are coming from inside your offices in Dallas at ICE. You're hearing directly from them?
Yeah, we're hearing directly from the leadership on the ground there.
And something I always talk about on my videos, nearly all of my ICE videos and protesters, whenever the front gates open and you have this transfer of detainees coming into a facility or detainees leaving a facility, this is going to be the most vulnerable time for everyone, not only the federal agents, but also the detainees. And whether or not you like the detainees, it's the obligation of the federal agents to make sure they are protected as well. These agents have an incredibly difficult job, and as we can see, it has just become even more dangerous.
The building is on lockdown, building secure. Initial reports are that our offices are accounted for, but there are 3 individuals that are shot.
Are the 3 individuals ICE employees?
We're still working on that right now.
Again, we now know they are the detainees.
Obviously, it's really chaotic. Dallas Police Department's been great. They're on scene. It's a large police presence there right now. You know, it could be employees, it could be civilians that were visiting facility, it could be detainees. At this point, we're still working through that. We do know that 3 have definitely been shot en route to the hospital right now. We had great support from locals on the ground that are helping us look for the active shooter. Like I said, right before I just walked on set, I got word that the shooter was down from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Okay, so it may not be an active shooter situation anymore. Yep. You said a possible sniper. Did this individual get inside the facility, or were all the shots outside?
From a preliminary reports, it looks like shots came from outside.
Yep. And the victims,
into our secure facility.
And the victims were also outside? Or
I mean, this month has really shown us that we live in quite a time that's extremely dangerous. I don't think it's fear-mongering to say that government officials right now, whether politicians or people working in this field, especially deportations, their jobs just got a slight increase of risk as far as these deportation operations and working in the field of deportations and stuff like that. Here are some more updates.
Our sources on the ground there have been saying detainees and perhaps not the federal agents themselves, because I think what we would have heard from Kristi Noem or the acting ICE director in a tweet or anywhere else would have been much more intense than what we've heard now. Not to diminish what they're saying at all, but we don't at this moment believe any agents were, although that's how the call came out around 6:40 or 45. It was an officer assist call, and I'm being told by sources this was in what is be called the Sally Port area,
and that means all hands are on deck. When you ask for an officer assist, everybody come in. Now, thankfully, this is not a sanctuary city or state. Over in Rochester, New York, and this is literally why sanctuary statuses are so dangerous and confusing for anybody in the area. Up in Rochester, New York, there were police officers who almost lost their jobs for assisting an officer assist, which means all hands on deck. The lives are in danger of the federal officers who call for officers assist. But if this happens in a sanctuary city, there can be some hesitation. Am I supposed to be working with federal officers? Thankfully, everyone is safe. But regardless, this means that civilians are in the area are safe as well. But the sad part here is it looks like the detainees, they were the target. So what do we do here within this sanctuary status? If this was a sanctuary city and the detainees were taken out and officers did not help out the ICE agents, who's at fault now? As you can see, sanctuary status right now, I mean, I really put it up into question. I'll let you guys decide how you feel about it, but I'm just trying to show you guys this is what could have happened if this was a sanctuary city. Who knows if officers would have responded due to their legal obligations on whether or not they're allowed to respond.
an area where people are brought in or out who are in detention. And so that's what I'm being told. This happened from shooting from one building rooftop to the next.
And again, in pretty much every single area that we cover, whether Los Angeles, Portland, now Chicago, the security, it's not that it's minimal, it's very difficult to defend. Once you open that gate and vehicles start to leave, that is by far the most vulnerable time, and really the only time we see clashes, because it forces federal agents and protesters or people who want to do harm to the federal agents, it forces a clash because the agents have no choice. They have to leave the facility, they have to meet face to face with the protesters, and that gets exploited, and as we can see, it got exploited to the max.
Right, and based on that information, Sean, it does seem to be a little different from some of the things that we've seen, especially in Alvarado, where you had agents who were targeted, federal agents who were the target of a shooting. In this case, it appears as though we've got detainees, ICE detainees, who were being taken into custody, who were shot. So it certainly changes the dynamic, at least.
That's what it appears.
And again, even if you fully support deportations and you want illegal immigrants out of the country, this is still extremely serious, because regardless, it is the obligation of the federal agents to make sure that whoever is in that vehicle or whoever is being brought into the detention facility or leaving the facility, they have to make sure, agents have to make sure they are protected as well. So this does create a brand new dynamic across all facilities throughout the United States, because we've never seen this before, where only the detainees are hurt or taken out.
The moment, and hopefully we will learn more once we know who this person is, this man or woman, this person, the shooter is. Once we know that, then that will lead us to another treasure trove of information that might end at a motive or reason behind this. We'll never hear it from this person's mouth because they're taking their own life. But yes, you're right, Brandon. The allegations in the federal information about what happened outside that facility in Alvarado is that people had body armor, they had multiple radios and cell phones, they had weapons, and that it was an ambush.
This is completely different. This is the lone wolf. The operation they're talking about, we had an actual targeted raid. People had body armor. They were ready to specifically take out the ICE agents. And I just have to point out a very simple observation. Look at all of the civilians and moving vehicles. Again, I really want to harp on this. It is the job of ICE agents to make sure everybody is protected in the area when this federal operation is going down. So again, thank the Lord this is not a sanctuary city, because in sanctuary cities, the police, they're not obligated to have to help out with any of this. Go and check out my videos in Portland. The federal agents are having to play the Portland police role and the federal agents role and make sure everyone is safe in the area, which is why more assets are needed locally, such as police. So again, sanctuary city policies, they give limitations and limit protections for the civilians in the area who could have been collateral damage.
In that regard, in that context, this is different. It is one person. Now, whether that person was shooting at the agents or at the people they were bringing in,
we don't know,
or taking out, we don't know. But
and I don't think that changes anything. Whether the person wanted to take out the detainees, whether he wanted to take out the agents, it doesn't change a thing. This creates a new tension for the agents. It now will probably create new policies. And I do think for the protesters, this will now fully create more clashes and more violence in the area, because the agents are not about to play the game of, hey, you're going to walk on our facility, even one step on the facility. That's it. This brings it to a whole new level.
In the climate now,
even if you're trying to be peaceful, stuff like this ruins it for everyone, and that's it. I mean, this has gone way too far.
Now, this is why there has to be, you have to always think about all of these things, and it's impossible. It's literally impossible to think about every place something could happen, which shows, again, our this vulnerability in society.
Right.
So, let's see. All right, I'm just getting a text in. Someone is confirming to me, another source, no agents or officers were drugged.
No agents or officers. So that kind of goes against what, the vice president was saying, that he was saying it was an attack on law enforcement.
I mean, in a sense, I still do think this is 100% an attack on law enforcement. This decredits, if anything, this might be worse. This discredits the actual job of these officers. You guys are supposed to be protecting the illegal immigrants. And again, this is the narrative that we hear all the time, that the feds don't care about illegal immigrants. I 100% have no problem in calling out the feds, Homeland Security, ICE, if they mistreat illegal immigrants. If they do that, we have to call them out, because it's their job to treat everyone with the same respect. Because guess what? A lot of times ICE officers, they have to arrest American citizens who are creating chaos or violence at these facilities. So they are treating everyone on the same level as far as safety and respect. So this to me is 100% an attack on officers. It discredits who the federal government is, these agents, and if anything, this actually might be even worse for the officers. So you guys can leave your comments down below. I think this is bad all around.
Inside our Sallyport area, where we have our secure detainee location, inside that location. But again, everything's still coming in so fast. It's just been a morning.
And I appreciate you giving us the details you have. It's an unusual situation here. We're getting preliminary reports that we had not yet been able to confirm.
I'm surprised he even still did this interview, honestly. If anything, this shows how resilient ICE is in wanting to give out the proper message, by the way.
We have the acting director of ICE here telling us that you are getting these...
I mean, even it looks like he feels a little uncomfortable right now.
...reports directly. And you mentioned the threats that you feel are being directed toward your agents. Talk to me about that. What's the environment in general?
I've never seen anything like this in my law enforcement career. I've never seen threats on law enforcement, specifically ICE, increase the way it is. We're up over 1,000% assaults on officers right now. And really just a lot of the
And I'll be honest with you, when I first started covering ICE, that number went from like 50%, 100, 200, 4, 5, 8, 1,000. I've been covering ICE every single day, and at first I thought the number was a little ridiculous. Like, how do you even create that percentage? This is 100% true. 1,000% increase, which means you're guaranteed to get into a conflict, or you are guaranteed to get hurt if you do this job. As somebody who covers this every single day, federal agents clashing, ICE agents doing their job, this is true. Almost every single time we look into an operation, somebody gets hurt or assaulted, and even worse, it's not only the physicality of things, it's also online, on social media, these agents are also being attacked. Their families are being leaked as well. So this is on all fronts.
The talk that's out there, a lot of the rhetoric, is just the violence directed towards law enforcement officers just trying to do their job. And we just keep seeing an increase step by step. You know, like I said, we had that shooting at the Alvarado facility, which is right outside Dallas, on July 4th, where they ambushed officers in military tactical gear under the guise of fireworks. And now we have this, and it just seems like it keeps getting worse and worse, and it has to stop.
You've launched a large recruitment effort. There are ads airing in a lot of different places. To what extent have you?
I can't believe they're doing this interview, honestly.
You found that the atmosphere is affecting your recruitment efforts?
You know, you would think that it would affect it, but it hasn't. We've had over 157,000 applicants. It just keeps going up.
This is where I think Democrats went completely wrong. And I know this video is supposed to be about the event in Dallas, but this really does all come in together. What I see in my own comment sections and messages I get, the amount of people who are so upset as to what's happening to ICE, they're seeing it as an attack to American values. One thing that Democrats get wrong, or people who hate ICE, is that the majority of Americans, the mass majority, are okay with deportations, but are very okay with deportations that involve a crime. So if somebody comes into the country illegally and does something really bad, the majority of Americans, we're talking about in the 90%, are okay with that deportation. So the more attacks and hates that occur on ICE and federal agents, that is why we're seeing more Americans motivated to want to help out. I see it directly within my comment section. When I first started making ICE videos, I almost quit. I was like, nobody cares about this. Nobody wants to see this. It's like, it's not even that big of a story. Now everybody wants to watch it. Everybody wants to talk about it, and the mass majority of my comments are in support of ICE agents.
There's really
even when I say something critical about ICE, people still support ICE.
Excitement for people that want to serve, not just necessarily in ICE, but want to serve in a federal law enforcement capacity.
Yeah.
Especially at a time when
it's not only ICE, it's throughout the whole U.S. government within deportations and the security of the country.
Assaults and attacks on law enforcement are increasing. We are seeing a great uptick in our recruitment. So people definitely want to do the job. But again, it's a sad moment in time when we have to worry about the safety of law enforcement officers just out there doing their mission.
One of the things, the Denver police chief, a lot of the advertisements are in cities that you call sanctuary cities here. The Denver police chief said to Axios of the ads and the recruitment effort, I think it's a terrible job for terrible pay.
That's his opinion. I can tell you.
Imagine saying that about the U.S. military, by the way, because I think these guys are making more money than I made when I was in the U.S. military. But again, if this happened in a sanctuary city, and thank the Lord it didn't, I don't know what would have happened. Because we have seen time and time again where officers are either afraid or don't respond immediately or don't respond at all to help out ICE. And you can go look it up. Straight in Rochester, police officers almost lost their jobs. They got to come back for responding to an all-hands-on-deck call.
That's a noble profession. It's a great organization. We do a great public safety mission, and I'm proud of the work the men and women of ICE do.
And I've heard you talk about some of the violence in the rhetoric, particularly you've mentioned what you call sanctuary cities, but again, this is Texas, this is Dallas right now,
right,
which to my knowledge isn't what you would call a sanctuary city, and there is still allegedly, or now you're confirming, violence there.
Right. Yeah, it's a sad state for law enforcement, but it's not going to deter our mission. And again, my main focus today is just making sure the men and women of ICE in Dallas are safe and making sure that all across the country we're taking precautions to keep our staff safe.